What's up guys, today is part 9 of the full AMV guide for beginners, and today we'll cover how to do your compositing. We'll basically cover how to do particles, how to do lens flares, and also some smoke or some fog. And with those things you should be able to create something completely different from your scene. Alright, so let's just get right into the video. So we got this from our previous episode, so we did a little bit of color correction and some color grading. So today we're going to start with the fog. The first thing we're going to do is go into our composition and then go into it again. And then here we got the movement / the shakes. So I usually do my compositing in this composition, just because when we go to our main composition, we have like all the effects, the shakes, and the color correction on top of it. So for example, if you had images or particles, they will all have like the same color correction and the same shakes on it already, and we won't need to change around even more things. So that's why it's useful. So first of all, we're going to go here. So today we're not gonna composite these two clips. So we're just gonna focus on one clip, and that should be enough for you to know how you should do it on the other clips too. All right, so we're going to add a solid layer on top of our clip and on top of the null layers of our clip. So we can do Ctrl+Y, and you can also right click, new, and then solid. All right, we're gonna make it black. I just made it white because I did this for the syncing part. So I covered that in the first tutorial, I think, or the second one, I don't know. So here we're gonna call it smoke or fog or whatever you want. And then we're going to cut it. And then we can add an effect called Nebulosity. And this one is not for free, but I'll leave a link down in the description down below. So Nebulosity, and this will basically create like clouds, or like any like cloud looking thing, and you can basically make smoke with this as well. So we're going to select the preset. It's preset 5. So this one already creates some smoke, or it's kind of clouds now. So, you know, we're going to make it a little more transparent so it's not too visible in our edit. So we're going to go to base form, make this one a little lower like this. So this is basically like the transparencies. So as you can see, if you drag this up, there's a lot more of these clouds. So do something like this. We can drag this one a little up. All right, like that. All right, then the next thing is to spread it out a little more. So the width, change that. Now, as you can see, the clouds come till the edge of our clip, and then the height as well. So you can change the depth too, which is useful if you're working with 3D. But for now, it will basically only make it less transparent, which is not really nice. So we'll just keep it at 1000. Then you can move it around as well. So you can go to transform. And here you can make it lower, for example. In the preview edit, I just lowered this one, so the height. And then I brought it to the bottom more. So there's only some clouds kind of like gliding around the bottom, which looks really nice. So then from now, I'm only going to show you the most important effects. All right, so you can go to noise 1, and then you can go to the evolution. And this one will basically just move it around, just like turbulent displays. It will just move things in different positions. Then you also have the scale, so the noise scale. This is basically how big your clouds will be. Oh, I kind of fucked up. All right, so this one, so you might want to lower it a little, something like 280, and then we can just keyframe the evolution. From my experience, just keyframing the evolution is not enough to make it look great. So you can also just keyframe the offset. For example, the X one, so it will kind of move from left to right. So you can just keyframe that, go to the end, and then move it to the left, for example. All right, and now as you can see, the fog will move. And then, of course, you can also change the evolution, but make sure you combine it with an offset, and also not too much, because as you will see, it kind of like rotates, and if you only do the evolution, it doesn't look great. So we can do it even less, like 25. All right, looks pretty good. Then of course you can also add some velocity to this one. So press U, and then select them all, press F9, then go into one keyframe. And then here you can make this kind of graph. You don't really need 3 keyframes for this one, just because it's not that specific. And then the bottom one as well, of course. And now you get this fast, slow, fast thing again. Which kind of matches with the velocity of our clip. So that looks pretty good. This is how you create the fog. Then the next thing is a lens flare. So we will also create a solid layer for this one. So Ctrl+Y. And let's call it lens flare. Oh, lens flare. Yes, okay. And then here you can add several effects. One of them is just called lens flare. So this is like the default effect of After Effects. And now you can also add something called Optical Flares. You can also download this one. I'll also leave this one in the description. So we'll be using Optical Flares just because I like it a lot. And then the last option is to create a lens flare yourself. But I have a tutorial for that, and I'll also link it up here if you want to know how to make that yourself. So here we'll just go to options up here, and then you can honestly just choose anything. For example, light. Maybe you want this one, and then you can change the color maybe. So you have kind of like a desaturated vibe. But then again, if you make it like really bright orange like this, and then now I can actually show you. Let's just change this one on transparent. Now I can show you, if you go back to our main composition, you will see our lens flare will also get a little bit desaturated, just because we have the color correction on this composition. But it's not that visible right now, just because it's such a bright orange, right? So we can just change it around and make it fit a little better like this. As you can see, the colors fit a little better now. And that's also a very important tip for you guys. If you're compositing, you really want to make sure that the colors just fit with each other, because you could have like an overlay or a lens flare, or even your smoke. Like you can make your smoke blue and it might not look good just because it's the wrong color, right? So now we have this kind of brown and kind of like more to the warm side of colors. Just make sure you're not creating an entire rainbow or something like that. Unless you're going for a trippy edit, of course, but all right, no one cares. So we're going to move our lens flare somewhere to the brighter parts of our clip. So that's here, for example, you know, because in real life, that would also look like that, right? So it could be the sun, for example. And if you would just randomly do a lens flare on his head, then it just doesn't make sense at all. And that's not good. So you can just grab it, or you can change it around here. And we'll just go to here. Let's go to the beginning actually. Then the next thing you can do is animate it. So you can just go to the position and then press U, so you can see your keyframes. And then you can just go 1 frame forward and then just always move it in the same spot. Okay, so perfect. You didn't really need to track it. But if your clip is moving, then you of course want to move your lens flare with it, right? So then we can make it flicker as well. That's also something I really like about lens flares. When they flicker, it's like just way better, right? So you can just do that in flicker, and then the speed, just make 80, amount 60 maybe. Now you can also change from smooth to sharp, but I find that smooth is a little better. So this is for this effect. Obviously, if you don't have this effect, then you can also kind of create it with the transparency parameter. So if you press T, you can see the opacity. So it's not transparency, it's actually the opacity. And then here you can also keyframe it from 100 to 0, from 100 again, to 0 to 80 again, and then, you know, just back and forth. So it kind of flickers. So that's also a method to do it. All right, and then I also see that we actually do need to keyframe it. Wait, well, all right, perfect. And now, as you can see, kind of stays in the spot, right? You can also like track it with the built-in 3D tracker. But honestly, for these types of things, I like to just, you know, track it manually. So that's how you do a lens flare. Obviously, you can do a lot more things with this, but these are like the basics. So yeah, usually I just keep it like this. You can also add like another glow on top of it, which will kind of impact your scene a lot. And that's actually pretty good. So let's add an effect called deep glow. Required for text, so the unmult, check that. No, this looks fucking ass, so delete it. But honestly, sometimes if you add a glow, you might be able to make it like glow even more, bro. I don't know what I'm saying, bro. You know what I mean, right? So okay, so the next thing is particles. Again, a solid layer. It's for most things it's the same. You always add a solid layer, so Ctrl plus Y. So particles for now. And then you just add an effect that you want. It's usually with these compositing effects, you know, that you need to add a black solid and then add something on top of it. So we can add particular. Honestly, there's not really any other method I would recommend. There's like an effect called particle world, but honestly, I don't know, like I don't like it, so, you know, I always use particular, so definitely worth investing in it. All right, it finally loaded. My After Effects kind of crashed or something. So we will go to the designer. Here you can do a lot of things. Here you can change it to box, so it's kind of more spread out, right? Then you can change the size of the box. So unlink this one, and then make it bigger. You also want some depth, so, you know. Then you can also change the amount of particles you want, so that's up here, but I'm just gonna keep it at 100. Then here the motion, velocity, I set it to 20 usually. All right, and the particle type, you can make it kind of like glow a little. So you can choose like glow sphere, or you can just keep it at sphere and then just add a glow afterwards. But this one's pretty cool, so we'll just keep this one. All right, then we'll change some other things in the effects panel, so not here. Then you could also add some wind, so that's an environment. Maybe some X wind, you know. The other way around actually, because our smoke also went to the left, so, you know, would be logical to just make it go to the left too. And then here we're gonna change a few more things. So first thing is down in the particle, we're gonna go to opacity, go to opacity random and set it to 60. Then the size random, set it to 60 as well. Then here you can also change the actual size. So maybe you wanted to set it to 4, so it's a little bit smaller. And then you can also go to size over life, and here you can choose a preset. And I like this one. So this is basically the preset to just make it fade in. And then the same thing with opacity over life, exactly the same. This one is actually to fade it in, and the other one was to like scale it in, right, and scale it out too. So that's how you make the particles. Then of course you can change the color too. So maybe an orange as well would fit nice. All right, so now as you can see, we have our particles, and if you go to the beginning, you'll see they're like kind of gone. So a way to fix this is to drag this one to the left and drag it out more. And there used to be a setting to like make them appear instantly, but I can't find it right now. But like maybe if someone finds it, just let me know down in the comments below. But for now, this is kind of like a fix for it. So we'll also change around the emitter size Y, because I think it's a little too flat. All right, perfect. And then of course you can add like a glow to this one as well, but it already has a glow due to the particle options that we had, so we won't need to do that. All right, then the last thing is to make everything a little more part of our scene. So a very quick way to do this is to just mask out something in the front, for example this dude here. So what you can do is just copy the bottom layer, so the actual clip, Ctrl+D, then drag it to the top. Now you should be able to see nothing. So then you can mask it out. So go to the rotor brush tool and then double click. And then here you can just draw on it. So we will just not care about this error for now. All right. So we will just do it very quickly. Okay, so we masked it out. And then of course you can add like even more specific things with this one here. So long click and then refine edge tool. And then you can like draw on his hair, and it will mask out way better. All right, but I won't go too much in depth on this because there's already a lot of tutorials out there about this. But definitely let me know if you still want a tutorial about masking. All right, so now the thing is, we can go back. And as you can already see, you can see your things popping up again. One problem, there's no problem. All right, so we can go back to our main composition. And as you can see, it fits so much better. Like I actually really like this scene now. So we got some lighting going on, some particles, some smoke to like really fulfill that vibe, as you can see. And of course, everything can be done better. You know, I just did this very quickly, but definitely take some more time on the tracking part and also on the masking part, and then everything will look really solid. So as you can see, the particles might still look weird because our clip kind of moves to the left really fast and then our particles don't. So we can actually change that too. All right, so we will just move the particle layer to the left too. So use this position parameter because if you use the other one, it will basically move your entire solid layer, and there won't be able to be particles outside of that. So if you use this parameter, you just move the particles within your solid layer, and then there could be some particles still here, you know. So if you spread it out enough, that's possible. But with the other method, it's just completely cut off, so it's not a good method. So we'll use this one, and then press U, so we see what we're doing. All right, and then we can drag it to the left a little. All right, then keyframe it, and then go to the speed graph, of course, because we're working with multiple position values. All right, and then it should look a little better. All right, so now as you can see, our particles move too, which actually looks really great. All right, so you can do this for the rest of the clips too. This is how you mostly do your compositing. There's also some images you could add. For example, in the first AMV I made, I added like an entire Earth, you know, but that was actually 3D. So that's also something you can do. But it's the same principle. You just add a solid layer, you add your 3D or your image on it, or when you're using an image, you don't even need a solid layer. And then you just make sure the colors fit with your scene. And that's just mostly it. Like glow and blurs can help a lot to make it fit your scene more. So definitely keep that in mind. And then for the rest, you should be fine with your compositions. If you have some more tips, definitely leave them in the comments down below for the other editors to see. And hopefully you've learned a lot. And if you did, make sure to subscribe. And if you want me to help you even more with After Effects, then make sure to go to the first link in the description down below. Alright, bye bye.